I do this? Did I do this? Did I call this person back? Am I going to do it? Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do this. And so much space is taken up in your brain with just that thought. Don't forget to do X. Probably the thing that has changed my life the most today, like just day 6. Having a second brain in general has been phenomenal. And then the best system that I've found is called building a second brain. It's probably my favorite thing to talk about. I nerd out about this stuff, but building a second brain is really how you clear your main brain. You've got your main brain here, and you want it to be clear and open for creativity or critical thinking or whatever it is that you value. You want that important stuff to be going on in your brain. And then chores and tasks and making sure that stuff gets done, put that in a second brain that we don't care about as much. So hey, I'm Alexis. On this channel, we talk all about productivity and personal development. So we're in the middle of the Change Your Life Challenge right now. This is day 6. So if you want, you can just click in the description box for the playlist of all these videos all in one spot. There's also a PDF. So I've got that here on my iPad. You can download it on your iPad. You can copy it down in a bullet journal. You could print it off, whatever works for you so you can follow along. It's a couple pages today. So the first step in building a second brain is you need to pick where it's going to be. So there are a lot of different programs. My favorite that I'm using is Sunsama. It is amazing. It is a to-do list built in with calendar integration, and it has daily and weekly planning built in. Tasks roll over. It talks back with Google Calendar if you're interested in other programs like that. So it does a lot of talking back. So I'm obsessed with Sunsama. That's absolutely what I recommend. The catch with it is that it's $20. So for some people, that's not worth it. I'm obsessed with productivity. So for me, if I'm looking at $20 bill, Sunsama, $20 bill, Sunsama. No, it's obviously Sunsama. I think it's amazing. It's a beautiful program. There's another program that was meant to mimic Sunsama, to become like a dupe for Sunsama. So it's called Ellie, and that's free. So I recommend these two programs. I would just honestly pick whichever one. Sunsama is better. You know, it does more talking back. It looks cleaner. But really, you just need to pick one program that's going to work for you. When a lot of people are getting into productivity, they're like, I'll do Notion and I'll do Todoist and TickTick and Asana. And, you know, they're just grabbing from too many places, and ultimately it doesn't actually make your life simpler, which is kind of the point of the thing. Was it was supposed to manage your tasks. So Notion is a really popular one. Notion is really good for notes. If you have a lot of notes to manage, it does have some project management, task management built in, but it wasn't necessarily designed for that. So I don't necessarily recommend Notion, even though there's kind of a lot of hype around it. If you're a student and you take a lot of notes, maybe it's helpful. But if I have notes, I usually just do them in my notes app because I don't have that many. I have like a packing list, gifts I want to give people, a couple others, but nothing I need extensive notes for. What I have an extensive amount are, like everyone does, are tasks. Everyone has so many tasks, whether they write them down or not. You've got laundry, you've got chores, you've got work, maybe you have your side hustle, you have your life's work, you know, relationships. There's just all this stuff going on. So everyone has a lot of tasks to manage, a lot of balls in the air. So you're going to pick one. So on this here, I've just got a checkbox for you to check that off. Pick one tool, and it needs to have to-do list integration and calendar integration. So I honestly just pick Sunsama or Ellie. Those are the best ones. I've combed through so many, I promise. So many. So in getting started, what you have to do is brain dump everything that you can possibly think of that you have going on in the future. And this is kind of the overwhelming step for a lot of people. It's like, I've helped a few people get set up with a second brain, and this is the part that's like, there's too many things. I'm overwhelmed just thinking of all these things. But I promise everything worth doing gets worse before it gets better. And that's kind of my motto. The important things in life get worse before they get better. So we're going to brain dump a few things. We're going to brain dump some recurring things, like I repeatedly have to go to the grocery store. I repeatedly have to do laundry. And then any one-time things also that you can just think of, like, off the top of your head, I'm hanging out with so-and-so next week, and you write that down. So anything you can think of, brain dump. So maybe do that right now. Anything off the top of your head, brain dump. And so I put brain dump times 2 because the first brain dump is like, what do you have in your head right now? Brain dump everything. And then I have some categories to also help you with that. So one category you need is your life's work. So for me, I've got like YouTube. So something that I would put in the calendar is every Sunday I'm filming. Every Monday I'm rough editing. Tuesday and Wednesday final editing. Thursday finding ideas. Friday outlining the video. Saturday brief run through the video. So that's something I've just got recurring. All those things in the calendar, recurring. Financial, I've got budgeting in the calendar twice a month. You might have different financial things. Planning, I've got quarterly planning in the calendar. So at the end of every quarter, So at the end of March, June, September, and December, I've got quarterly planning. At the end of the last Saturday of every month, I've got monthly planning. Sunsama has weekly planning built in, so it will already pop up and remind me, so I don't need to put that in the calendar. If you choose a second brain that doesn't automatically do that, then you'll probably need to remind yourself to do weekly planning. I've got some of these might call my Zen routines, so morning routine I put in the calendar, and then tidying, like I like to tidy in the evening, I've got that recurring in the calendar. Friends, I like to go out to lunch with my friends every Sunday after church, so I've got that in the calendar. Health, working out, if you work out at a certain time, I'd put that in the calendar. I like to do online grocery orders on Saturdays, and I like to meal prep on Sundays. So for me, that's a routine I put in the calendar. Spiritual category, so for me, I've got church or reading, I put that in the calendar. Personal development, I want to read a book every week. So then it's in the calendar that I need to buy one for my Kindle on Amazon every weekend. Then I've got reducing friction. So every evening I like to set up for like my life's work for the next day. So that includes tidying, and then it also includes step 1 of whatever I need to do the next day. So if I'm editing a video, step 1 might be getting the footage in Final Cut, just so that there's nothing stopping me from sitting down. There's as little friction as possible. All I need to do is just sit down at my desk. A romantic category, date nights, I put that recurring. So these are just some categories just to get you thinking about what types of recurring things you have. And then there is a trigger list, getting things done. There's a PDF online called the trigger list. So if you comb through there, just see like, oh, I need to buy a light bulb. Or, there's like little stuff in there that it will remind you of. So you've done your brain dump, you've seen these categories, but now there also might be stuff from that trigger list that you remember, like, oh, I need to send a thank you note to this person. Oh, I need to call back this person. Just like any task you can possibly think of, chore, task, fun thing, anything in your brain, get it out right now. This is the space to do it. And it is overwhelming because if you've been keeping a lot of stuff in your brain, it's like there could be a lot. It could be so much. And so I promise that this gets better. I've done this with a few people. This is the overwhelming part, but it's about to get so much better because all this is going to get put somewhere. So what you're going to do is you're going to input all of these in your calendar. So now everything that you can think of, everything in your brain has been transferred to this second brain. So now to maintain this system, what you're going to do is you're always going to transfer. Anytime something pops up in your brain, like, oh, in a couple months, I need to change my snow tires. Oh, I really want to go do this. I want to go to an outdoor movie this summer. Or next winter, I want to go to a ski resort. Or I need to remember that I have to call this person back. Anytime you get any sort of thing in your head that you want to do or you think you need to do, any task, I always immediately transfer it from this brain into Sunsama because I want my brain to be more open for creativity. I don't want it to be constantly like, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I call this person back? Am I going to do it? Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do this. And so much space is taken up in your brain with just that thought. Don't forget to do X. And it's so nice that I can just like set it and forget it, that I trust myself now. That's a really big benefit of this, is learning to trust yourself. So the thing that I like about Sunsama versus like Google Calendar, for example, is with Google Calendar, you have to assign a very specific time right away. Like you can't just say like on Thursday, I want to do this. You have to say at Thursday at 6:00. The time I want to do this. So I like that it's kind of in a to-do list format. And then when you daily plan, then you assign it to time. And I really like that. So sometimes I know something, but I don't know the exact day I want to do it. So like I want to go to the Redwoods this summer. I don't know what day I want to do it, but it popped in my brain. So I'll just say, okay, I want to do it sometime in July, let's say. So since I don't know the day, I don't know the week, the only thing I know is the month that I want to do it, I'll put it for July 1st in Sunsama. And then when I get to July 1st in Sunsama, I'll look at it and be like, oh, okay. Then once I get to July, then I know a lot more about it. So I put it assigned to whichever spot in time I know the most. So if I know the day I want to do it, boom, type in an item for that day. If I know the week I want to do it, like, oh, I want to do it next week, but I don't know if I want to do it Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm not sure. I'll just put it at the beginning of that week. And when I get to that week, then I can assign it more appropriately. So yeah, it's so nice. Sunsama has an app as well. So a lot of times I'll be out and about, I think of something I need to do, and I just boom, put it in the app. And so it's really nice. The desktop version is great. They say that it's intended to mostly be used as a desktop thing, but if you're out and about and you think of something, boom, you just put it in the app. And so it's so nice. I have all these things set recurring. So as time goes on, like I can just scroll through Sunsama and there's stuff every day because I have all this recurring stuff. And it's so nice because if I don't do something, like I needed to do something on Saturday, it automatically rolls it over to Sunday. So nothing falls through the cracks. I just feel like everything has a place, everything's in its place, my mind is so clear, and I just feel like I'm finally doing all the things that I wanted to do. Goals are getting managed, and chores and friends. Like I'm having a very well balanced life right now, and that definitely hasn't always been the case. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to set a weekly and daily planning routine. This is probably the thing that has changed my life the most today, like just day 6. Having a second brain in general has been phenomenal. And then weekly and daily planning. Like out of anything I've done, this is probably what has transformed my life the most. So for weekly planning, all that I do is reflect on the past week and how did I meet those objectives, and then I set objectives for the next week. And I try to make them kind of vibey, ethereal, like I will be calm this week or something like that. I've kind of experimented with making them more qualitative versus quantitative goals, like I will output 2 videos this week. And for some reason, it's just really been helpful for me to set more of these vibey type objectives. And so then I'll sit down with Garrett, we kind of compare our schedules, and that's really helpful. So like if you're married or if you have roommates or people whose time is kind of dependent on you, it's really good to powwow beginning of the week, what do we have going on? And then I do daily planning, and I really like, Sunsama has routines for both of these. It has a weekly planning and a daily planning function, and it's amazing. Sunsama's phenomenal. So it'll have you reflect on the day and plan your next day. So I love Sunsama for that. So you just reflect on what you got done, and then you take the to-do list, plan for the next day, and you sort it by time. So you say, okay, I think this task is going to take half an hour. So when you drag it into the calendar, it takes up that block, and it's really helpful for seeing, do I have enough time for doing this? And it tells you what your workload's going to be for that day. So it'll be like, oh, red, unrealistic workload. So you can bump it back to tomorrow, or there's a spot where you can bump it back to next week. And so I really love the planning function in there. It just pops up with a notification for weekly and daily planning. So I don't have to remind myself to do these things. It just pops up, does it for me. Okay, so that's day 6, building a second brain. Do you feel smarter now that you have 2 brains? Maybe. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. You can click on this playlist here if you would like to see all of this Change Your Life challenge in one spot. It'll be in the description box as well as this PDF if you don't already have it. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in day 7.